Shaolin, now all I touch, I am a master here. Right then, Tommy G. Welcome to the conversation, mate. Tommy G Beats, Tommy G Unit. Thanks for joining us tonight, mate. So we're going to do your natural beginnings. Your natural beginnings. And yeah, talk about your... So, yeah, okay. So you're a multi-instrumentalist in a way, aren't you?
Yeah.
So what did you start? What was your first instrument?
Well, it was bass, and it kind of started in much the way in James was talking about in his video. So he said something along the lines that his brother, he'd bought a guitar and he never really played it, and he just kind of ended up getting it off him and learning that way. And that's basically how, I got into the whole thing. My brother had a bass, and I kind of took that off him and started playing it basically. And yeah, I've still got it today. It's literally like sat here.
Let's get it. Let's have a look.
It's like this Yamaha.
There it is. Beauty.
Yeah.
It is.
So I've started on that and kind of was just learning my way on that and just kind of self-taught myself.
So it was bass first. It was bass first, mate. Because for some reason, because when I met you, you were a drummer. Mm-hmm. I forgot to introduce someone who's very important here today, actually, because I've just sort of got eyes of him. Ryan's also here as well. What Ryan does is Ryan sorts shit out, basically. So I've had to introduce him here because it's bad that I haven't, but we can fucking but yeah, so when I met you, it was in my very first band and you filled in on drums.
Yeah.
Ryan, you were there, weren't you?
Yeah, you were both.
I don't remember that.
Yeah,
we were both in that band.
Remind me of this.
We just played. Sorry, mate. Go on, Tommy. You can remind him because I want your version.
It was Manana's, and there was a gig in the Printworks, and your drummer hadn't come, and you were playing like the bass drum, like Mumford and Sons.
Yes, I remember now. I remember inventing that.
But I mean, we already knew each other at that point, didn't we? So it wasn't like weird or anything. But you kind of just said, "Do you want to come and play drums at this gig that we're doing tonight?" And I was there with my band at the time, for the weekend. Shout out,
nice plug,
James Cordero. And yeah, I just came and played drums at that gig, and it was Oddist, I think, or Odd.
That was the one, yeah, because it was a travelling band's night.
Yeah.
Joe and Adam, shout out
the
again.
Far Cupboard, was it, or was it?
Yeah,
something
I think it was called something like that. But literally, that was one of the best gigs we ever did.
Yeah, people were dancing on the tables and everything, weren't they? It was good fun, but I had no idea what I was doing. I wasn't confident in doing it, but it was. Yeah,
I think none of us in that band knew what we were doing.
that was the charm, wasn't it? That was the charm.
Yeah.
But yeah. So obviously, yeah. So you mentioned that you were drumming for the weekend at the time, and then was Ethan in the Reformation next? Was that the next step after them, or?
Yeah. So that for the weekend kind of fell apart, and then we didn't really do anything with that. And me and James, we played together. No, not James from this band, but James Cordero. Right. And from there, we joined Ethan and the Reformation together as a kind of a duo coming into it. We never separated until then.
A lot about these bass and drums duos going about it. No, I think there's definitely.
It's like a bit of synergy that goes on between the two. So we went and did that, and that was great. I really enjoyed the process and all that, and I really enjoyed being in that band for the most part.
Yeah.
And then towards the end, it felt like I wasn't enjoying it as much anymore. Like I felt like we were pigeonholing ourselves, and perhaps because of that not being as creative, maybe.
I think I roaded for you near the end at one point.
Yeah.
Where did we drive to? We drove.
I think it's like Sheffield or something like that.
Yeah. And I remember at the time. I mean, you all seem to still get on and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And that was great. I had a really good time with you, to be fair. The weather was dead nice and that. It was really funny. Obviously, Ethan's a character. Yeah. And yeah. So was it just after? Yeah, was it just after then that our band split up and kind of needed some storage space, didn't we?
I think so. Yeah.
Because you were rehearsing at Granada, weren't you? With
Yeah. And it kind of well, before then we were at Redbridge in Bolton.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. And we kind of did a couple of rehearsals there, didn't we? Very early on.
Little jam
on some stuff that I'd wrote.
We did, yeah, I remember that.
Oh, yes.
And that was like very early on. That was like pre-Luke and everything. Just doing some little tunes. And we decided that we really enjoyed it. And for me, that was a kind of bit of a turning point. And it was like, right, this is what I want to do now. Because it felt like creative freedom to me. And
that was the start, wasn't it? That was actually the start.
That was the very start, yeah. And then Ethan and Reformation got in the room in Old Granada.
Yeah.
I think potentially I was maybe still in the band at this point.
You were. I think what happened...
I think.
That you've just reminded me now of what happened with the Bolton rehearsal. It was because you were making some demos, your own demos, and me and James were listening to it on SoundCloud and we're like, this is really cool. We should see if Tom wants to do it live. And then we got in touch with you, and then it was like, yeah, okay, let's do it. And then I think Sid came on for the ride.
Standard procedure, mate.
And that's where it started. It was to play some of your demos.
Yeah.
And I don't think we did anything for a while after that.
No, I don't think so. No.
Very strange. I think it was always one of those where it was like, right, okay, if anything happens, like to either bands, we should definitely look at doing something like this.
Yeah.
And I think it just naturally happened that way. It was weird.
Yeah, because I think we knew what the potential it had. For me, anyway.
It was
like straight away.
It was like what Sid said to Luke, like, "Oh, it'd be great if we could be in a band together at some point." And that's kind of how it worked. So it was weird.
And I was hanging around with you guys anyway because I was helping out with like Cupids at the time, and it was like I spent quite a lot of time learning like this whole kind of like business kind of vicariously through you guys.
It was, mate.
Because you were playing some pretty big gigs at the time, and I was like, tried to come on for the ride, basically.
I completely forgot all this, like, because literally you were roadieing for us. I must have returned the favour with Ethan, but yeah, you were helping out with guitars and drums, especially, weren't you?
Yeah.
On a few of the shows. Did you come to Isle of Wight and stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah, you did. Yes, no way. So that's when I really got to know you, then, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, because we didn't really know each other that well. We'd known of each other, but we've never really got to know each other.
But you knew Ryan and James. You knew Ryan and James.
Yeah, we went to college together.
Right. Okay.
We're qualified musicians.
BTEC.
Yeah.
But yeah, so, and from that, personally, I was like, these guys are great musicians. And I was like, I want to do something with these guys. And it was a bit of that as well.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, that's what I mean. So then we moved in the stuff into the rehearsal room. Obviously, we spoke about that, the little cupboard that we were in. Your band, you were rehearsing next door. But obviously, I'd never even realised when we were in Keepers and that you actually you made your own beats and stuff, and you just filled up SoundCloud completely empty with stuff. I remember spending a day. I think it was in that horrible time, but I spent a day. I think I went to the dentist, right? And you said, "Oh, I've got some ideas on SoundCloud. Do you want to try writing some ideas down and stuff like that?" So I was like, well, I've got nothing else to do anymore, so why not? I got the bus from Salford, living with James. I got on the bus from Salford all the way to Langley, which is where my dentist is, and then listened to him all the way down. I was like, oh, right, okay, I really, really like where this is going. And then I got the bus back, and by the time I got the bus back, 3 tunes, more or less, I had parts for all the way. I was writing the words as I was coming back on the bus. I was like, yes, I cannot wait to get stuck into this, because my process was always guitar, right like that. I'd never wrote to beats before. Me and Ryan had tinkered a little bit near the end, haven't we? of writing to beats and stuff, because Ryan had started making some, but I'd never actually sat down and wrote to beats before. So where did that come? Where did that side come to you? When did you start putting the stuff up on SoundCloud, and when did that appeal to you?
Like pretty early on, to be honest with you. Like probably from about the age of like 14, I've been like doing stuff like beat wise, as you say, and just making anything, whatever it was. I didn't even care. It was just like a bit of like a creative release, especially if you're not like doing stuff with a band. You know, you've got to wait for everyone to get together, haven't you? Whereas if you're on your own, you can kind of have that creative release on your own and just do whatever you want. That's kind of what I was always saying to myself. I'll just make whatever. I don't really care.
Stuff
like,
was very out there.
Not like stick to a genre. Yeah, it was like
that's. Sorry, mate. Go on.
There was like loads of different things that I liked at the time, and I basically just tried to emulate those genres. So it's like post-rock stuff, like Explosions in the Sky, and like Sigur Rós and all that kind of stuff. I was getting into at the time. I was just trying to emulate those sounds basically, and from doing that, I was making stuff that, you know, now has become a part of our sound. It might not be exactly the same as it was, but it's become a part of what we are.
It's right, mate. Sorry to interrupt.
No, it's fine.
They're funny because obviously there were various Sigur Rós and stuff like that, and Explosions in the Sky. James has already banged on about Explosions in the Sky, so I'd heard parts of them, and obviously because I was living with him around that time, I was hearing more of it.
Yeah.
But obviously I was getting into Drake and Kendrick and stuff like that, so I spent that good few weeks there just trying to practice writing hip hop stuff over the top of them, which is kind of, so this is mad because I've not thought about this time, and like this is where it's all kind of developed. So you're right there, man. So like where does like it was further down the road and stuff like that, but you brought in them influences again, like you said. I've interrupted you, mate, so sorry about that. Sorry, because I've lost my train of thought now because I felt really bad. But yeah, what was influencing you around that time and stuff like that, or was it just we can edit this bit?
around that time, around the time of me like doing my recordings?
Yeah, just when we kind of started. And
when we started, for around that time, I was having a bit of a complete change of heart about music in general, because for a very long time I kind of disregarded like rap and a lot of other genres as like not very good, and I just never really opened my mind to it or like give it a chance or anything like that. So I spent a long time not being influenced by that at all, and then when I kind of opened my mind to it, I just realized that it is probably one of the most eclectic like genres of all, because there's just no boundaries for it. And I think we took a lot of that into this band, and we just, yeah.
You're right. I bet Ryan's got something to say on that, because that Ryan obviously is big on the freedom of ideas thing. That was kind of his kind of, he brought that to the table on the bio and stuff like that. And it has come, Ryan must agree, it has come from listening to kind of hip hop and stuff like that and getting involved in that, because there is no boundaries. There are no boundaries.
It just hip hop transcends genre for me.
Yeah,
and even more so now than ever. I was listening to Pimp a Butterfly on my run this morning.
Great album.
It's a jazz album. It's just incredible, and yeah, it just transcends it for me. It's the most free thinking, progressive pieces of art at the minute. It really is.
Mm-hmm.
It really
Absolutely agree with you there. Whereas like all like a lot of genres, like, you know, rock, indie, they've all kind of become, you know, pigeonholed and almost like a parody of themselves, and it's kind of a self-perpetuating thing, and you know, it's people are copying other people, and it never progresses. It never gets better until people are kind of drawing influences from everywhere. It kind of becomes boring. So a lot of it to me has just become kind of the samey. it's the same stuff, but it's just further down the line.
Yeah, I think as well. I don't know. I don't feel qualified to comment on this, but it feels like at the minute as well, there's some great musicians. I don't want to say that there wasn't in the past, but I'm more aware of musicians now, like Thundercat, who's playing bass on Mac Miller's album, and you've got Anderson .Paak who sings and plays kit.
Yeah,
it's almost as if they are like the bands. I don't know. It's weird. Like they are the musicians now, and it just so happens that the music they're making is really progressive, but also draws a lot of influence from the past as well. I just think it is just the most progressive art form that there is.
It does draw a lot of influence from the past, and a lot of them admit that. It's like, so it's good to recognize where you're coming from, but also innovate as well. Like don't just get stuck on the past.
Childish Gambino's what was the tune? What was the tune? Why can't I think of the tune now? His big one.
Redbone?
Yeah, so what was that? What did that sample?
I don't think it's sampled.
I don't think it sampled anything. I think that's probably
it referenced.
What's good about that.
It referenced.
Yeah, it heavily referenced and lent on Bootsy Collins.
Bootsy Collins, that's the one.
I think the tune's called "Rather Be With You."
Yeah.
But
an interpolation.
Yes, but who produced that, Tom?
What's his name? Goranson.
Yeah, the Swedish guy.
Yeah, the Swedish guy.
He's done the soundtrack to Mandalorian.
Yeah, and Black Panther, and just pretty much anything that's good.
Yeah, phenomenal.
Yeah. He's got some great little clips of him on YouTube. There's like a little documentary of him writing, describing how he wrote that Redbone.
Yeah.
Stuff like that, which is well worth a watch because he's a talented guy.